Welcome to One Girl in All the World, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer rewatch podcast where we recap each episode in order and discuss. I'm Ashley, Buffy superfan.
Kimmy, Buffy newbie.
You can find us on all major podcast apps, YouTube and Instagram, with new episodes on Tuesdays. Okay, so today's episode is brought to you in equal parts about my cold and my niece and nephew who gave me the cold. So thank you for sponsoring the episode. You too.
They just sharing is caring, so, you know.
They're very generous. Very generous. So, yeah, we're recording a little late this week because I've managed to pull myself together. Don't watch this on YouTube. This episode. Oh gosh, now I'm hot.
Ashley 6 still looks better than most of us normal, so there's that.
I will be, if you watch it, it'll be like cardigan on, cardigan off, cardigan on, cardigan off. Because I'll be like hot, cold, sniffle, sniffle. But I will edit as much out as I can. All right. So we are discussing episode 7 of season 2, Lie to Me. Mm-hmm. So any thoughts on top of your head? Hot takes?
Yeah, we got some more character information. Mm-hmm. So it was good. Yeah, I thought it was a decent episode. Nothing earth-shattering, but it was good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So the original air date of Lie to Me was November 3rd, 1997, written and directed by Joss Whedon, which is interesting. Like, because usually it's like huge, like plot-turning, like really important episodes, touchstone episodes that he usually gets involved in. So that was interesting.
This was one of those.
Yeah, that's interesting that it that he wrote and direct this one. All right, so the synopsis is Buffy's 5th grade flame, Billy Fordham, unexpectedly arrives in Sunnydale with one motive, to deliver Buffy to Spike in exchange for the immortal life of a vampire. Meanwhile, Buffy and Angel confront their feelings for each other, and Angel owns up to his past relationship with Drusilla. We get to like some of this Drusilla stuff right off the bat, so we'll get to that pretty quickly. So we're in a playground at night, and
first of all, what are you doing in a playground at night? So
Mom of the year. He says, Mom, you're late. So she's supposed to pick him up at the playground, and it's late, and he's the only kid there. So Mom of the year to that lady that she's left her kid at the park alone at night, and in Sunnydale, of all places.
The hellmouth.
Yeah. Because even if you don't know that, like, there's supernatural stuff going on, you know that, like, people go missing all the time. Bad stuff happens. It's not a safe place, so you definitely don't want to leave your kid unattended.
Like, I wouldn't do that where I live.
Yeah, like, well, I wouldn't do it like, especially Sunnydale.
But that's okay, because Drusilla walks up, and she's going to help him.
I hear she's a great babysitter. She's really good with her dolls. Very attentive, so...
What's that doll's name?
Miss Edith.
Miss Edith, that's right, yeah. Mm-hmm. So she just wants to help this kid out. So sweet.
Chit-chat.
Thoughtful.
She wants to chit-chat with him.
You can take him home.
Yeah, and she says, like, she's talking in her usual nonsense, and she says, my mother used to sing a song to me every night. I wonder what song your mother will sing when they find your body.
Yeah, that was super creepy.
Jill's pretty creepy.
And also, though, I'm going to give credit to this kid, because when she does try to offer him a ride home, he doesn't say anything. Like, he's like, no.
Yeah. He's wary of her, as he should be. Yeah.
Good for him. I'm glad that was instilled in him. Because I know, for instance, when I was that age, had someone been like, I have candy and a puppy waiting for you in my car, I would have been like, yes, let's go.
Yeah, Drusilla was like, hey, do you want shotgun in my black van? I'll let you have shotgun. Come on. It's okay. It's okay, kid. And she's kind of closing in on him, and Angel arrives and kind of tells the kid, get out of here, like, run home. Mm-hmm. Runs him off.
I thought it was interesting how she calls him my angel. I was like, oh, what is that? What's up with that?
Yeah, that was interesting. Angel tries to tell Drusilla, she has a reason with her, and tells her for her to take Spike and leave town.
Yep.
I like that he says, or it's interesting, I noted that he said, specifically, it's not going to end well for any of us.
Yeah.
Like, including himself. He included himself in that.
I didn't know what that meant. And then she asks if that he'll hurt her, which I thought was interesting. Mm-hmm. I was like, why would he hurt you?
Yeah, and also that, is he really gone? Like, is my angel really gone? Like, I guess she's questioning about his, like, soul. Like, is the angel she knew really gone?
Yeah, and that, I have so many questions with this scene.
And then, like, what Drusilla can smell, like, Buffy on his heart, or something like that. So she's, you know, she can tell all kinds. Can see things and intuit things that other people can't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like their dynamic is really interesting, and I do like how later in the episode they kind of play it out more. But yeah, I just thought it was. So I'm gonna admit to you that when I watched this, she calls him my angel, and like the way they talk and the way they act, and they seem close. So I actually thought maybe they were brother and sister. But, yeah, but they were not. Because she even says, "Do you remember the song Mummy sang?" And I was just like,
"Yeah,
whoa." I was like, whoa.
That's true.
So I thought that's where they were going. They didn't, but anyway.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't remember, like, first watch if that occurred to me. Obviously, like, I'm not even seeing that unless subsequent watches because I know they're not brother and sister. But yeah, that is interesting. I wonder how often that was thought, like how many people thought that. Let us know if you first watched this and you thought that Angel and Drusilla were brother and sister.
Curious. I mean, they break that out of your head, like, shortly after, but still, yeah.
They resemble. They resemble.
I feel like it looks like they could have been. They look like maybe they came from the same era, same. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that definitely could have been a direction they took it in. So he's trying to convince her to leave, and Buffy sees. I don't know why Buffy's patrolling up on a rooftop, but she is.
Yep, I thought that was weird too.
Buffy sees them talking, and she doesn't know.
Wrong impression.
Yeah, she gets the wrong idea, or maybe the right idea. I don't know. I guess that just.
Wait, what? Why do you think she would get the right idea?
Well, I know she thinks they're like romantically involved, but there's definitely stuff going on there.
Yes, they have a relationship. It's just not. Yeah, you're right. Yes.
Yeah. So, and you know what? Angel talks about he was obsessed with her and all of this and that. Like there is an element of, I wouldn't say romance between them, but
something.
Yeah, it's not like purely like friends. I wouldn't say
some sort of
not at the level
connection.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I mean.
Okay, that's fair.
So Buffy she doesn't know she hasn't seen Drusilla yet, so she just sees him talking to some like beautiful girl in a white gown, and doesn't like it. So she just kind of doesn't like make herself known, and she just fades kind of away so they don't see her. After the credits,
she also overhears she overhears him saying to Drusilla, "This has to end," and Drusilla says, "This is only the beginning." Or
yeah.
So that was kind of...
That doesn't help.
Like, no, that was not good.
Does not help. So after the credits, we come to the hallway, and Jenny is surprising Giles with a date, but she won't tell him what it is.
Yeah, I was way off.
I mean, like, who would guess this, for real? Buffy comes up to them, and Giles says that he doesn't know why Spike's here. He says Buffy's looking a little glum. Is she okay? And she's like, yeah, it's fine. They're still trying to figure out what Spike's motive is, more about him, like why he's in Sunnydale. And that Giles, because she sees that she's kind of like down, he gives her the night off, which does pay off from the last episode when Giles said he wasn't going to be so tough on her.
Yeah.
So at this moment he sees that something's bothering her and maybe she needs some like TLC. So he gives her the night off from patrolling.
Yeah, he genuinely cares.
And he says, well, spend some time with Angel, which is not... He obviously doesn't know Angel's the reason she's in
but he meant that, and like, yeah, that was like, it would have been helpful had she not seen
been in a good place with them. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So it was kind of funny. She's like, that's the problem. She didn't say that, but.
Yeah.
And I just find it so strange that like Giles is so supportive of her relationship with Angel.
Yeah, because he's a watcher. Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah, and like he's a vampire. Like I just don't get why he's so supportive. Like knowing Giles through the whole season. The series. It just brings weird to me. But in the classroom, Buffy and Willow are passing notes back and forth, and Buffy's basically telling Willow what happened, like what she saw. And she's saying it was a beautiful girl, like white dress. It looked old, I think she said.
Yeah.
And so they're talking back and forth while Buffy gives a Marie Antoinette rant. I mean, Cordy.
Oh
sorry, I said Buffy.
I just don't see why everyone is always picking on Marie Antoinette. She worked really hard to look that good, and people just don't appreciate that kind of effort. Peasants were all depressed. I think you mean... Oh, yeah, and then someone's like...
Xander says, I think you mean oppressed.
And then she's like, and they were all like, let's lose some heads. And I mean, she cared about them. She was going to let them eat cake.
And you know what? Cordy's not completely wrong. Cordy's not completely wrong. You know, Marie Antoinette was like, I think they said it was the first victim of bad PR or something like that. Like, obviously, she like there wasn't, she was misquoted, and there was all this kind of stuff, and like she wasn't really that bad.
She didn't really understand the people, though.
No, but
yeah,
she's not a villain, I wouldn't say. But
I think she's a little bit like Cordy. Cordy's also not a villain, but she's a little self-absorbed, and yeah,
that's fair.
I think actually, maybe there's a parallel there. Actually.
Yeah, I was like, no wonder she's sticking up for her. Like, she can see herself in her. So, while that's happening, while Buffy and Willow are talking back and forth, Cordy is being active in class and being participant. You could say that you can't say that she's isn't
trying. She's definitely giving it, A for effort for Cordy.
Yeah, exactly. So Willow asks Buffy, vampire ? And
Buffy
doesn't know. She doesn't know. They continue this conversation as three of them walk into the hallway after class, and Buffy says she doesn't know. And of course, Willow spills to Xander right away. She's like, we don't have to share it all with him because, Xander, last thing you want to tell Xander is anything about Angel.
Exactly.
They don't have good blood between them. So, so Xander thinks they should cheer her up with a night at the Bronze, but Buffy's just bummed. She's like, does not really rise into the occasion. And then, surprise, a guy says, oh, maybe you're still not into, like, cheering her up. It was like Oreos and orange juice or something like that. Like some weird combination that she liked as a kid.
That. Okay, that is gross.
And that's what makes him be like, her turn around. So apparently it's Ford, her friend from Henry, that she went to, like, elementary school and most of high school with, from LA. So this is kind of the connection to, like, the book. Like, Henry's there, and
I don't think he was in the movie, though.
No, he wasn't, but
okay.
He was, like, supposed to be at the high school, right? He's supposed to be one of her friends pre-series at the high school, so.
Pre-Slayer days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And, well, she was a Slayer at Henry, but not the whole time.
Yeah. I think it was, like, towards, the end of her time there.
Yeah. Buffy reveals that she had a big crush on him in 5th grade, and he wouldn't give her the time of day because he was a 6th grader and he couldn't like go with this younger woman.
And she said she listened to the Divinals, I Touch Myself. She didn't understand what it meant.
But I had no idea what it meant.
That's so funny. And then like at the end of the scene, Willow's all like, oh, that's what that song means.
I mean, we're like, wow. Like,
it's so funny.
Willow's
so sheltered.
Yeah, like that's like that song is like pretty.
It's
not hidden very well under an innuendo. Like it's just what it is.
Yep. It's very obvious.
Yeah, you're not touching your cheek. Or the one on your face anyway. And he says, oh, my dad transferred jobs, so I'm finishing out high school in Sunnydale. So he is now a student at Sunnydale High, and she's like very excited to have a new friend, like, one of her old friends come and kind of like wants to like bring him into her friend group with Willow and Xander. And so she invites him to the Bronze. And Xander's not totally cool with this male interloper into their group.
He likes being the only male.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, me and Buffy, we're the bestest of bestest friends or something. He's like so annoyed.
He's funny.
Yeah, he's annoyed that this guy's
I feel like his quips are becoming more mature, at least, though.
Yeah.
I see him maturing over time. I like it.
He's just becoming less annoying.
More. Yes,
yeah, he's becoming less annoying.
Yeah.
At the Bronze, Buffy arrives a little bit after everybody else, and she finds out that Ford is embarrassing her with telling stories to Willow and Xander about, her growing up, and there was like a beauty pageant incident and everything. So she's like, stop saying all this, like my dark secret. I love when he's like, oh, well, Summers, I know all your darkest secrets. And Xander says, you want to make a wager on that?
Yeah.
I loved that. Like, I think I know the biggest one.
Secret. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So Buffy goes off to get a drink and runs into Angel. Mm-hmm. And it's a bit awkward between them. And she asked him, oh, what'd you do last night? And he said, nothing, I just stayed in and read. Which is a lie. So she caught him in the lie. She was giving him a chance, I think, to like just tell her something that resembled the truth. And he didn't. He lied. So she's immediately annoyed because she knows that
as she should be.
That he lied about meeting this girl in the playground. Mm-hmm. Having a play date with this girl.
A play date.
And so he follows her over, and Angel gets introduced to Ford, and Angel's like, oh, great. Angel's kind of the same. He's like, oh, great. This is a new guy coming around. Even though we already are struggling enough to get ourselves sorted out.
Maybe we shouldn't be meeting Drusilla in dark playgrounds.
I 100%. 100%.
He
Or
just
like
thinks
tell
Buffy
her.
didn't see it. It's such
Yeah.
a dumbass. Boys are dumb.
Well, I mean, I can, like, not right. Explanation, not excuse. I can see why he doesn't want to have this Drusilla conversation with her, with Buffy, because it's pretty bad.
It is really bad.
So I think he just wants Drusilla and Spike to just skedaddle, and then that doesn't have to be a conversation.
But that's just avoiding something that you should probably be talking about anyway. It doesn't solve things.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. But I can see why he would want to avoid it. Like, it's not healthy and not good, not honest, but, you know, it's a difficult one. So Buffy and Ford go, she says, oh, do you want to go for a walk? You know, I think she's just trying to, like, rub Angel's face in it at this point because she's annoyed at him. And Angel just disappears after that. They walk out, and Willow and Xander are trying to talk to Angel, and it's just like an empty spot. He's just gone. He's just vanished. Like, they just look back to where he was, and he's gone.
Yeah.
Outside, Buffy hears a scuffle and tells Ford to, like, run back and get her purse for her. She's just trying to get him, like, remove him from the situation.
Get him out. Yep.
And he kind of goes, hears more, turns back, and then sees her stake a vampire. Or / fighting cats. All the fighting cats. She's
oh, yeah, that's right. That was funny. I forgot that.
That was what, yeah. There was another cat. There was a cat, and there was another cat, and then they fought. And that's what you saw. He's like, oh, okay, I thought you were just slaying a vampire.
Yeah, and he says it just so nonchalant, like it's nothing. Like,
uh-oh. Yeah. Like, this is not news to him. He is not shocked, and he knows that she is the Slayer.
Yeah.
So Buffy and Willow are talking on the phone at their houses, and Buffy tells Willow that he knows that Ford knows that she's a Slayer, and it just makes it easier to be friends with him because it's hard to have a relationship.
Yeah, like a hard secret if you have to run off immediately, or like suddenly, or like just something comes up.
We've seen her
excuses
try to do this.
Yeah.
You know, with like Owen and whoever else. Like she's seen her try to have like normal relationships without bringing them into the fold, and it's just very difficult.
Well, even like this in the alleyway, she's like a cat and another cat. Like, these are terrible.
Can you believe these feral cats? Yeah, so she's saying it's just easier. And she didn't have, I mean, obviously she didn't have to make the decision to like tell him or not tell him. He already knew. So it's just made it really easy for her. And this is something that she's known for a long time. So
I find that interesting, though, how she didn't question that. She didn't ask him how he knew or anything like that.
I think he does say it at some point. He doesn't say it specifically. I know at some point he says, oh, I figured it out a little bit before you left Henry. But he doesn't say how. He doesn't say... We doesn't say how. Because, like, regardless of his motives, that is true. Mm-hmm. So, like, yeah, we just never find out, like, how he actually... Maybe he just saw something. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, he never goes into any more depth of like what the situation was that he found out that she was a Slayer, and like what is a Slayer and all this. Like, where did he get all this like backstory? Like, he could have saw her fight something weird. Doesn't mean he knew she was the Slayer. So yeah, that would have been like a few sentences on that would have been, interesting. Yeah, to get some little more backstory on that.
I think so. I was curious, but also though too, I was just wondering if it would show more of his true character. Mm-hmm. Had she asked more questions, but
true,
why not?
True, yeah.
Probably would have been careful.
In the alley, because right away, now we're going to be like, Ford is just walking through an alley, and he goes up to this, like, creepy door. Mm-hmm. Like a really well-enforced door. And he goes in there, and there's, like, work being done. Like, a welder or something is doing work. He goes down, and it's, like, a club, like an underground club. And you can tell something's up when he's talking with Marvin/Diego.
Yeah, that was...
My name is Diego, and he's wearing his Spirit Halloween vampire outfit.
Yep, he just changed his name. It's fine.
Yeah, because I know if you're going to be like a creature of the night, you don't want your name to be Marvin. I get it. I don't want my name to be Diego either, but it's better than Marvin.
I guess. I don't know.
So he's saying, like, okay, is it going to be ready? And they're talking in, like, kind of talking around things. Mm-hmm. But there's also another girl. I think her name was like Chantrell, something very
I totally missed her
different.
Name. Okay.
And they're just like getting ready for something. They're excited for something to happen, and there's anticipation. And I don't know if like right now it's clear or if it's just alluded to.
I'm gonna say yes. I wrote this in my notes, and I don't remember exactly who said it or how it was said or whatever. But somebody said, "Die young and stay pretty," and in my mind, I was like, "Oh, these guys want to become vampires." So
yeah. Okay.
They don't make it obvious, but like I
Yeah.
With my mad deduction skills.
Yeah.
I figured out that's what they meant.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically this is a club of people that idolize vampires and want to be turned into vampires. And the movie playing in the background that Ford is quoting is the film Dracula from 1973 that's playing on the screen.
Nice catch.
In Willow's room, Angel shows up. This is so funny because she's like, "Oh my god!"
I thought this was cute. Because like you said at the bronze, like all of a sudden they were still trying to talk to Angel, and he just disappeared. So it's like you kind of get the impression he doesn't want to be super involved in Buffy's life, but then he shows up to Willow to ask for help. I thought this was so cute.
Yeah, he likes to disappear and reappear quickly, like just out of nowhere. And he's gone. He's here. He's everywhere. She shows up to her house, and she's a bit nervous having a boy in her room because she's not allowed to have
I'm not supposed to have boys. I love how he's like, I'll behave.
Yeah. She's like, oh, good. Oh, good. I was worried.
Yeah, right.
So he asked her to look into someone on the net, and she's like, yeah, sure, no problem. What's the name? Like, Billy Fordham. And she's like, okay, well, obviously this is an issue. Are you sure you're not just being jealous? And he's like, I get jealous. Like, this is new. I get jealous. But at the same time, I know that there's something up with him. I can just tell.
Yep.
So they kind of come to an agreement that Willow's going to look into it, and she's not going to mention it to Buffy, even though she's going to have a really hard time dealing with that. And then hopefully they just don't find anything, and it can just go away, and they don't have to worry about it. But Willow has agreed to look into it for Angel. Mm-hmm. Oh, and before she finds that, before he leaves, she does find that he's not in the school records.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
she's
right away.
I don't think I'll find anything. And then she's like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, exactly. Like, right away she does find something so she's like, okay, I'll dig more. So, I mean, Ford said he's a student at the school, but he's not on any of the student records. So, red flag. Red flag for Ford. In the hallway, Ford and Buffy come up to Willow, and she's extremely jumpy and nervous. And I love when Buffy's like, funny. Willow, we talked about this. Are you drinking coffee again? Like an intervention for Willow with coffee. She's like, oh, you know me, that coffee. I just can't have enough of it. She can't be around Buffy because she's like
she can't lie.
Guilty and nervous that she's hiding something. So she runs off. And Ford and Buffy are just like, yeah, she's a unique one. Giles comes up to them and is being very covert about going on his date with Jenny. He's like, she gave me, he said, it's her beeper number, but he says like pager number thingy or whatever he says because he doesn't know anything about technology. In case you need me for a study emergency. She's like, he knows. Ford knows. And yeah, he kind of pulls her aside. He's like, well, you're just telling everybody now? You just telling everybody?
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, he already knew. He already knew. And so, and Giles was like, okay, that's fine. Like, Giles is like, doesn't even care now. He's like, that's all right. As long as you aren't telling people, like, it's fine. And that's kind of the end of that. Outside of the school at night, Buffy is giving Ford, like, a tour of, like, the town, like, of Sunnydale. And so they, like, circle back. They're back to, like, the school. And they see these people like running around through the campus. Yeah. And it's suspicious. So they follow them.
And like Ford just has a stake.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you know they're there, if you know vampires exist, you would be having a stake on you.
I guess.
Except for if you're Willow and Xander, because they never seem to be prepared. They never seem to have anything on them. But, yeah, so they chase them, and Buffy runs off after the guy, and Ford kind of starts fighting the girl. They're kind of in different areas. Mm-hmm. And Ford tells the girl vampire that, tell me what I want to know, like, basically, and I'll let you live. So we're like, okay, what's that about? Yeah. And Buffy dusts the vampire and comes back up, and that girl vampire is gone, and Ford says that he dusted her, he killed her. Yep. So as far as Buffy knows, those vampires have been killed. Mm-hmm. In the alleyway, Xander, Willow, and Angel have tracked down that weird club that Ford went to, because I think he said that he's paying the rent on it or something. Mm-hmm. So that's the only address she could find, and the name of it was the Sunset Club. So they go to this club, and they get in, like, past the doorman, because they said they're friends with Ford, so obviously Ford is involved here, so they get in that way. Who calls... I think Xander calls Willow or Angel Bossy the Cow, which is a Sesame Street reference.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah. I had to look that up, but I was like, that seems weird. Like, Bossy the Cow. Like, there's got to be something more to that. So that's what he's referring to.
I think one of them said that vampires, like, the club has a vampires yay theme, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, like, positive vamp-positive vibes here.
Yeah. And then, like, one of them refers to vampires as the lonely ones.
Yeah, I kind of like that. That's
creatures above us, exalted.
Yeah, so there's definitely, like, I don't know, love's not even a strong enough word. They, like, really admire vampires, and they think that they're good.
Yeah.
Because they run into, what is her name, Chantel or whatever, and is like, oh, newcomers, welcome, and, like, let's talk about why we're all here and everything, and she's like, people think that they're bad, but they're not, and he's just like, oh my god, you guys are...
You're fed bedtime stories.
You're ridiculous, you're... You know, and she kind of gets annoyed because she's like, oh, well, like, sorry that you don't, think other people's opinions are valid, and she leaves. And when Angel's like, these people don't, I've run into these kind of, like, groups before, and they don't know what vampires are like, anything, like, they don't know how we dress, and that guy comes down the stairs wearing the exact same outfit as Angel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so good, and he was like, okay, well, maybe they know how we dress.
Yeah. And, like, I think you refer to them as vampire wannabes.
Yeah, vampires wannabes. And Marvin and Diego hears them talking about Ford in the, like, the kind of like in the background. So he, like, knows that they're there and they know Ford, which comes important a little bit later.
Yep.
At the library, Buffy did page Giles and Jenny from their date because she saw vampires on campus and she thought it was significant enough to, like, have them come back and, I don't know, research or something. Yeah, so we find out
they weren't going to a wrestling match.
No, they went to monster trucks.
They went to monster truck. You know, the funny thing is, I've been watching Righteous Gemstones recently.
Yes,
and there's this whole monster truck thing, and I feel like maybe I should have guessed it because they were doing that, like, right around the time that you asked me that. So.
The Redeemer.
The Redeemer.
Love it. I love that show. It's so funny.
So,
yeah, and Buffy's even, like, horrified. Like, you took him to monster trucks? Like, why would you think he would be into that? Yeah, and so he's like, it was fine. Like, it wasn't that bad. And, like, please, he hated it. On the table, Buffy sees a picture of Drusilla. Mm-hmm. And Giles says that it was sometimes paramour of Spike that was killed in Prague by a mob, which we know that she was almost killed by a mob because Spike talked about that. And she said, well, she's alive. Alive, air quotes, as a vampire can be, because she saw her last night with Angel. Mm-hmm. Don't get really much far into this conversation. There's obviously more to learn here, because a vampire runs out of Giles' office with a book.
And which vampire was it?
It's the vampire that Ford supposedly killed, because Buffy recognizes it right away.
Come on, Ford.
And I love when Giles is like, my book! Like, a book! It took one of my books! That was great. He's like, that's what he's so upset. He's so upset about that. Take anything. Don't take one of my books at the library. In the factory, this is kind of a cool scene. I mean, cool, not cool. Drew is talking to her dead bird. It's weird.
Dead bird.
It's weird. It's different.
Her dead bird.
Her dead bird. And Spike comes in and says that he knows through the grapevine that she went out by herself and saw Angel. And he kind of seems a bit jealous. Like, well, what could you two have to talk about?
I thought it was cute how she was like, my tummy was growly.
Yeah. Yeah. She's very, like, infantile. Yes. She's which like the mind of a 2-year-old.
She does. And I find it a little strange that Spike has a love interest in her, because I feel like that would be difficult.
Yeah. I mean, he does get frustrated with her. We see her get frustrated with her here when he's like, the bird's dead, Drew. Just like the last one. You didn't feed it, and it died. Like, he gets annoyed. And then she's like, oh, you're yelling at me. And then he apologizes. I feel like this is a lot of their... Because Spike's not a patient person.
No, he's not.
So he does, like, get frustrated with her a lot. Because it's like, I just keep getting you these damn birds, and you just won't feed it, so it dies. Just, like, every single one. Like, I'm getting annoyed. You can tell he's had this conversation with her many times about these damn birds, that she gets upset when they don't respond anymore. It's like, you have to feed it.
Oh, man. So many of these poor starving birds.
Yeah, so...
But yeah, so he asked her about seeing Angel, because he's the enemy, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think she really gives him much information. No, and they get interrupted, because Ford just wanders into the factory.
This is so weird to me.
Like, and then Spike rightfully says, don't we have anybody, like, watching the door? Like, you can't just wander in here, like, because that's what we would all be thinking if he hadn't had that line, right? Yeah. And so he's annoyed, because he always says, like, like, my lackeys are, like, useless. Like, I'm just surrounded by idiots. Like, so if it works. It fits in with like kind of the people that he's got on his payroll or his blood roll. I don't know. Ford comes in and he's super excited. He's like,
he thinks it's so cool.
So excited. He's like, this is so cool. Like, he's very like, lives in a fantasy world to a part, because you see several times he's like, this is just how I imagined it. This is what you're supposed to say. It's like he lives in like a complete fantasy where like it's like he's written a script and he wants to go certain ways and he wants people to say certain things.
Super weird.
Yeah, that's why he's like Spike. He's like, I have something that you'd be interested in, and Spike's like not interested. And he's like, you need to tell me that I have 30 seconds to convince you or you'll kill me. Like, he wants Spike to say that. It's, like, part of, like, the whole fantasy and the whole, like, role and all this. So Spike finally tells him that, just to, like, okay, can we get this over with? Because Spike's not interested. Like, and he says that he's willing to trade Buffy to Spike to become a vampire. So now Spike, that does have Spike interest now.
He seems interested.
Yeah. At Buffy's house, Angel comes in and kind of tells Buffy that they've been looking into Ford and that he's basically involved in a society that reveres vampires, which obviously can be dangerous because you don't want to like get involved and trust and do this and like have that kind of viewpoint of vampires that obviously use it against you and kill you. And he says that Willow and Xander were involved, so she's like immediately like hurt that they all three of them were like working behind her back. Yeah, they went behind her back with these concerns, and they didn't even try to bring it to her attention. It's one thing if like they tried to tell her and then she was like, no, like I know him, like he's my friend and everything, and then they felt they had to keep going. They didn't even like try to bring it to her attention. So she does have a right to feel like betrayed. She does feel betrayed. But this is just the beginning of this bad conversation. That's not the worst news.
She asks about Drusilla.
Yeah, she's like, oh, who's Drusilla? Like what's the deal there? So he
doesn't want to tell her.
Yeah,
he's like sometimes the truth is worse. And I was like, oh.
And he's like, do you love me? And she says, yeah, I do, but I don't trust you. I don't think I can trust you.
Yeah, which is fair.
This is the first time that, well, she's actually said that. She's alluded to it. Yeah. She's alluded to it before.
Yeah.
So Angel gives the like abridged version of his history with Drew, which is pretty dark.
Yeah.
That when he was a vampire, soulless vampire, that he came across her. She was like very innocent, chaste, sweet, like a really good person, just pure. Like pure. And he became obsessed with her. And he killed everyone she knew.
He wanted to make her, he made her insane by killing everybody she loved.
And did all kind of mental torture on her to make her insane.
So she fled to a convent.
Yeah. She fled to a convent to become a nun, and the day she took her holy orders, he turned her. So she was already, like, messed up. Like, that's why she's different. Because, like, he tortured her as a human before he turned her. So that's why she's lost her mind. She lost her mind as a human because of him. And that's why she's not all together. Yeah. You know, that's why she's like that.
Seriously the worst. He turned her into a demon, basically.
Yeah. Like, he made her crazy, and then he made her into a crazy demon.
Yep.
And it's like, the irony of that. Like, she was going to become a nun, and he made her a literal demon. Yeah. Like, she couldn't have wanted more of the opposite of that.
It's really sad, actually.
It's so sad, because Drusilla was, like, a really good person, and, like, you know what I mean? Like, he just saw, like, her, like, a blank, pure canvas to, like, destroy. Yeah. That's, Angel is extreme. He's very, like, that's, I think, why he's, like, supposed to be the most notorious vampire, because he is very cruel. Like, Spike doesn't, because, like, I compare them a lot, because they are supposed to be, like, the top two, like, notorious vampires. And Spike doesn't have that, like, cat and mouse quite thing, quite as bad as Angel. When they were both, like, when Angel was soulless, like, Angel really liked to, like, go for the hurt, like, the slow hurt, and then the kill eventually. Like, he really drags it out.
God, yeah.
And, like, it's a whole game, and, like, he really savors the whole experience of, like, the torture and all this stuff. So we see that right off the bat with Drusilla. And, Drusilla was just a victim in this whole thing. And that's why she's wackadoo.
That's so sad.
Thanks, Angel. And, you know, Buffy has a hard time hearing this, because that would be hard to hear your boyfriend say that he did that to a human being. Yep. You know, that he did that to someone. And now she has this Ford situation to deal with, too.
Yeah, he says Ford can't be trusted. He's in some sort of group that reveres vampires.
Yeah. So she has this to deal with, and she's got that bomb dropped on her, which is pretty intense. In the quad, Ford finds Buffy, and she's kind of out of it. She's been out of it this whole episode, poor thing, with all the stuff that she's been discovering.
It's too much.
And he just is like, oh, I want to invite you out tonight for a surprise. And she's suspicious of him now, because she would be stupid not to be.
She should be,
And she says, okay, yeah, I like surprises. But you can tell she's, like, on her guard.
Yeah.
She's going to be paying attention, and she's not going to be surprised. She's going there, like, with her,
Except
like...
she is surprised.
Yeah. It backfires. But, she's going in there with her, like, wits about her. She's going into this, whatever this is, with her wits about her.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In the hallway, Buffy runs into Willow and Xander, and she's cold with them.
Yeah.
They try to, like, talk to her about it, and she just says,
They're
I'll
just
handle
worried
it.
about her.
Yeah. But she is hurt. She is hurt that they didn't come. They didn't even try to come to her, which I get that. Like, they didn't even try to, like, talk to her about it.
Yeah.
Like, when they found that he didn't have any school records, I feel like they should have, like, just mentioned that to Buffy. Because Buffy, I think, would have, I don't think she would have poo-pooed it away. Because that's weird. And if she did, then I think they had the right to, like, keep looking for her.
Exactly. And at least they had said something.
Said, yeah, we tried, right?
Yep.
And she would have been an angel, first of all, for even looking into him. But whatever. The rest of them would have been okay. Willow and Xander would have been in the clear, because they would have told her right away. So, yeah, she's not happy with them at the moment.
Yeah.
At the club, everyone's getting ready, and Diego/Martin says, hey, to Ford, hey, your friends were here the other night. He's like...
I was like, are your friends coming? And he's like, what friends?
Yeah. Uh-oh. So there's something's in the plans not going right, because he doesn't have friends that should be hanging around here knowing who he is.
But he said it's going to be fine.
Yeah,
it's
going to be fine.
Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah. And Buffy shows up. So she goes down there, and she shows up early, because she wasn't supposed to meet him until he was going to bring her there later in the night, later that evening. And she, of course, followed him. And she said, oh, I figured it out. And he's like, yeah, I knew you were going to figure it out. So it does backfire, because Diego, during this conversation, Diego is slowly going up the stairs, because, like, Ford kind of gives him a nod. And he's like, it's chilly in here or something, or there's a draft. Yeah. So that's his, like, clue to, like, close the door. Yeah. So Diego/Martin goes up there, and he closes the door. Buffy tries to get out. He's like, yep, it's a special door. You can only get in from the outside. And, yeah, the vampire... So once the sun sets, the vampires are going to come, and they can't get out until someone opens that door from the outside.
It's like one step ahead of her, basically.
Yeah, he's one step ahead of her.
Yeah, it's like a bomb shelter.
Yeah, he says it's like a converted bomb shelter, so Buffy's trying to find other ways out. And he says he's going to become a vampire.
He wants to be immortal.
He wants to be a vampire, and Buffy then figures out, she didn't know this before, that he's planning to trade her.
Yep.
And she realizes.
So this is my favorite line.
Okay.
She says, what I see is that right after the sun goes down, Spike and all his friends are going to be picking out at the all-you-can-eat moron bar.
Yeah, that was a good one. Chantrell or whatever is like, well, this is like a happy day. Like, why are you upset? Like, we want this. I feel bad for her, because she seems like really
she's
naive.
Nice. Yeah, okay, but naive, exactly. She's, like, way too naive.
Definitely someone that would be in a cult, which is just kind of what this is. Yeah. So
I'm like... Buffy and non-believe her.
Yeah, I feel bad for her, because she really thinks this is, like, a great thing. I feel bad for her. So Buffy tries to talk them out of it. She's like, you don't know what you're doing. They're going to come in here and just kill us all. Like, we need to get out of here. They're not what you think that they are, and that they are, like, indoctrinated. Like, they don't hear her, what she's saying. In the factory, and before that, Ford's wristwatch goes off or whatever, and says that it's 6:27, or I think that was the time, and that was sunset. He had his alarm set for sunset, so it's only a matter of time now. They're going to be coming for them.
Yeah, I feel like they just drank a little too much Kool-Aid.
Yeah. In the factory, Spike and his gang are heading out, and they're like, Sayer's the first priority, but everybody else you can go to town on, basically, which is not what the deal is supposed to be, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Back at the club, Ford reveals to Buffy that he wants to become a vampire because he's dying of brain cancer.
Yeah, this was a bit of a twist. I wasn't expecting that.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Because the other people just want to become a vampire for the sake of becoming a vampire.
Yeah, because they idolize vampires.
Completely
so they think
selfish reasons, yeah. Whereas he just wants to not die.
Yeah, he says in 6 months, he has 6 months left.
Yeah.
And that, I do like how he's like, oh, does that, like, ruin your righteous speech? Because I'm dying? And, like, you know, you go through what I've gone through and then tell me what's right, like, how clear right and wrong is. And I get that. Yeah. I can understand his perspective. Like, you know, he's a child. He's just, like, 16-year-old, maybe 17, maybe. He's a little bit older than her. Yeah, you know, that's no age to die at, you know? Yeah. So, like, yeah, I like when he's like, does that ruin your righteous speech? Like, your soapbox that you're giving all how wrong this is. And it does throw Buffy. Like, she's upset that, you know, this guy that she's known for so long, been a friend for so long, is essentially is terminal. And, but she still says, like, you have bad choices, but you still have choices. Like, none of them are good, but you do have choices. So she still sticks, like, that he shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
And for the pure reason alone, like, if I was in this position and I was like, okay, I can just become a vampire and everything, but, like, I'm going to be killing people forever. Exactly. Like, that would stop me. You know what I mean? It's not like I just, like, would live forever and nobody would be harmed. You know what I mean? I'd be killing people.
And for me, like,
you know?
For me personally, I wouldn't want to live forever.
Yeah.
No, I don't see the draw. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess it's like, if it's an option of forever or 17, I don't know. Like, you can always
that's
get rid of yourself later if you want, I guess. But there's the whole, like, you're not you anymore. Are you? Are you not? Are you a demon only? Is there anything left of you? That all has to be explored still. So, but that's what Buffy tells him. She's like, that's not how it works. You're not you that live forever. It's a demon that comes in and lives in your body, essentially. Mm-hmm. That's, like, the party line at the time for this episode. And yeah, and he says, you know, like, you know, these people are all just cannon fodder. Like, they're not going to change everyone here. And he's like, yeah, I know. It's just going to be me. And everyone else is just, like, appetizers. Yeah. He's willing to, like, sacrifice everyone else there.
That's really, that's the part that really bothered me. That was pretty shitty.
Yeah. And so they've the whole time they're arguing about the morality of his choice. Yeah. And they hear cars pull up. And so they know that, you know, they're there. I don't know how in the bomb shelter they hear cars pull up on the street, but, you know, whatever. And Ford attacks Buffy because she's going to try to, like, get out the door.
Pushes her, yeah.
She knocks him out pretty quickly because, you know, Slayer against normal dude. And the vampires all rush in and start feeding on everyone.
Yep. The shocker. And everybody, like, that Chantrell or whatever seems shocked.
Yeah, I think she's, like, when she comes up to Spike up the stairs and he's kind of just, like, she sees him in vamp face and stuff. I think that she's like, oh, shit.
Yep, she did have that expression. Yep.
Yeah, she's like, oh, no. Like, I think she just has a realization that this is not what she thought it was going to be. Yeah. And he starts feeding on her.
Mm-hmm. Of course he does.
And so it's all hell's broken loose. Ford is unconscious on the ground. Everyone's being fed on. It's like chaos. But Buffy sees Drusilla up by the door and, like, jumps up there and puts a stake to her heart.
Yeah. Takes her hostage. That's pretty badass.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she, you know, she views the situation. She knows that she's a weak spot for Spike, who's the leader. Yeah. So he sees this and she's like, tell everyone to stop. He gets everyone to stop feeding and gets everyone. He lets everybody leave because she's gonna dust. He's like, I think Buffy says, like, if you don't do this, your girlfriend's gonna fit in an ashtray. So yeah, Spike is willing to let everyone, like, just this plan fail. And if he sacrificed Drusilla, it would work because there's nowhere to go. Mm-hmm. Like, Buffy would be outnumbered and that would be it. But he lets the plan fail. It lets everyone out.
Yeah, because he loves her.
Yeah, and which vampires aren't supposed to be able to love, right? We'll see. And she throws Drusilla at him. They kind of go down the stairs, and then Buffy gets out and closes the door. Mm-hmm. And, like, when Spike's immediately tries to get out, and he's like, where's the doorknob?
I love that part.
So they're trapped. Now they're vampires, and Ford are trapped in there until they can get their way out. When Buffy leaves, she catches up with Willow, Xander, and Angel, and she fills them in on what's happening and says that they're going to come back for the body.
And they're like, what body?
Yeah, we see Ford wake up, and he's like, what happened? And he's like, hey, it's not my fault you let her go. I did everything I was supposed to do, so I want my end of the bargain held up. And then that's all we see. We don't see anything else happen, so we don't know. Maybe they'll just drain him. Maybe they'll turn him. Maybe they'll just, who knows? In the graveyard, we see that Buffy and Giles are standing in front of Ford's grave. Yep. So they killed him one way or another. And Buffy's having a hard time. I think this is, like, a problem. And now I'm kind of seeing, like, why Joss wrote this. Because there's a lot of, like, blurring of black and white, which the show has been very black and white up to this point. And I think this may be a turning point. A slow turning of the dial of, like, the gray area of the whole show. Like, good, evil, right, wrong, demon, human.
Empathy for a character. Like, forward.
And, like, we see Spike sacrifice this whole plan. His, like, number one thing should just be to kill the Slayer to save someone he loves, which is not supposed to be possible. You know, Ford making the wrong decision to save his life, you know, and just, like, with, like, Empada, Buffy says, like, she wasn't evil. She was just, circumstances made her make the wrong decision. And that's kind of the same thing here with Ford.
Yeah.
So I feel like that we're starting to, like, gray, like, little baby steps to, like, seeing the gray area of some of these decisions and characters and stuff. So she's saying, I just can't see the black and white anymore. Like, I'm having a hard time. Like, who do I hate? Who do I trust? And, like, Angel, like, totally, her trust with him has been, like, at least temporarily destroyed. And so that's someone she was supposed to be, like, there for her and trust. She couldn't trust him. People that her friends betrayed her in her mind in this episode. So, like, everything is topsy-turvy for her at this point. And she just doesn't know heads or tails of things right now. Like, things are supposed to be very clear for her. Like, good, evil, black and white. And it's starting to not be that way. She's having a hard time dealing with that, and she's talking to Giles about it.
Yeah, she's confused.
Ford rises out of the grave as a vampire. So they did turn him. So Spike kept his word and turned him, but Buffy's right there to stake him. He barely makes it out of the grave. So she stakes Ford, so he's no more. Tells Giles, like, lie to me about how, like, life is supposed to be, basically. And he says, oh, everything, you know, good guys are obvious and the bad guys are obvious and everyone, you know, they're always defeated and everyone lives happily ever after. And she says, liar. So she just wants to hear something nice. And simple. So he just plays along with her. Because he can't really tell her anything different. Because it's what she's saying is right. And, like, you know, we get this trend goes into the next episode too. Like, things are not what they seem. People aren't who they seem. Like, you think you know someone. And that's been a couple episodes as we've been seeing this rise. So I think that's also, like, season 2. Season 2 is really, like, a turning point in that way. Like, things are just get so gray.
Interesting.
So the show's better for it. I think it's better for it than to have these, like, stark rules. You know, we'll see it from here on out. So it's good. And so that's the end of the episode. That is the end. Now that I'm, like, thinking about it, I can see, like, now that we're talking about it, I can see the, like, depth of it, like, why it was a good episode for Joss to write. Or because he wrote it, what the messages and, like, the themes were there. Because it is kind of a deep episode. And it is new. This is the first time we've seen, like, people kind of revere vampires like that, that I can recall. I don't think we've seen any of that yet. So that's new. And, I just think it was deep. It was, like, a deep episode. Even if the, like, the plot was fairly straightforward. So my favorite line was when Giles says, a book! It took one of my books! Love it. Giles forever. My favorite scene was the lie to me scene at the graveyard. When Buffy does her speech about how hard it is to figure everything out, stakes Ford, and then Giles just makes up a little fairy tale for her. Just for a few minutes, you know, to live, like,
sounds
just
lovely.
Just, you know, and she knows it's not true, but she's going to take like, just a few minutes. She just killed one of her oldest friends, you know, had to. And, you know, she just wants to live in she just wants to hear something not true, but sweet for a few seconds. So
that's fair. That's a fair ask.
So I just thought, and it's significant, like, the name of the episode said and stuff like that. So, she just wants her parental figure to lie to her, tell her it's all going to be okay. Because it's not going to be okay. And she knows that.
What was your favorite scene? Or wait, you said, okay. My favorite line is when Buffy and Ford are in the bomb shelter thing, and she's like, what I see is that right after the sun goes down, Spike and all of his friends are going to be picking out at the all-you-can-eat moron bar. quite like that line.
I wanted her to say buffet for some reason. Like, I was like, it would have sounded better if he said all, like, more on buffet.
Yeah,
but whatever.
And then my favorite scene was actually when Angel went to go visit Willow. I just thought that was cute.
It was cute.
You know, it shows he cares and he's trying, and yeah, I just thought that was a cute scene.
My runner-up would have been the one where he tells her about Drusilla.
That was a good scene too. Because he's being dark. Vulnerable. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, that's why he was like, I will get out of here, Drusilla. Like, get the hell out of here, because you're bad for me here. Like, I don't want to be telling people, like, how I know you.
But, I mean, he has to. Like, she deserves to know that, I feel like.
Oh, she absolutely does.
Yeah.
She does. And, you know, she, basically, Drusilla is, like, one of his masterpieces. That's how, like, Angelus would look at her. That's not how Angel looks at her, but, like, how Angelus would look at her. Yeah. So, yeah. So my steak rating, I gave it a 4 initially, but I think I'm going to give it a little bit more, a point something.
Yeah.
Maybe a 0.3. Because I think it's like, and once we were like talking through it, I see like more of the layers a little better. So yeah, we'll say 4.3. I think I like Ford as an addition. I liked his character. I liked that he was not just some, well, I guess for her to know him well, he had to come from LA. But I do like the little tie-in. I like the little like crumbs to the movie that they throw in, because it's supposed to be the same universe. It's not supposed to be like a completely different. Yeah. It's a continuation of the story. So I do like when they like acknowledge that. Because I like the symmetry. I like things to be neat in the timeline and like plot points. I don't like it to be all messy. Because I've watched shows that I've really liked, and they just like, don't know their own timeline. They don't know their own story. Like Once Upon a Time. Like, love that show. And they got to the point where they didn't even know their own stories, and they were making mistakes, and like they'd have to fix it on the DVD. Like that's how like bad it was. Like, so I like when the creators and like people know their show, which if anybody should, it should be them, should know what's going on. So I like that they did tie in the movie there. I liked the Vampire Society, like, but did they the Sunset Club or whatever. I think it was kind of cool. I think it's a different take on like vampire, like how people think about vampires. You think everybody's scared of them or doesn't believe in them, but there's a whole new viewpoint there that we haven't gotten before. Yeah, I just thought it was a different take. Again, like, you're keeping it fresh. We haven't had this kind of plot before. We're not regurgitating anything, so I did like that. And there's a lot of layers down. Like, we get it all served to us kind of on a silver platter at the end in the last scene, where Buffy's kind of saying, like, I just don't know what the hell to believe anymore. Who to trust, what to believe, what's right, what's wrong. I just don't know anymore. And that's something that she hasn't had to deal a lot with yet. But that's all the show is, like, the rest of the time. So, yeah, I think this is that's probably why it was important, like, for Joss to do it, because it was a kind of a moral turning point for the show. So,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll say 4.3. I will up it.
Okay. I gave it a 4. I thought it was good. I liked, I feel similarly to you, I would say. I liked the Ford character as well. I thought that was interesting. Also, just because he was a bad guy, not a typical bad guy, though, and he wasn't, like, anything out of the villain universe. Like,
yeah, he's a desperate person.
Yeah, he wasn't, like, he didn't turn in anything or have anything possess him or anything like that. So, just showing humanity, basically, what people can do when they're pushed to an extreme, basically. So I thought that was good. It did make you have a certain amount of empathy for him.
Yeah.
And just think more about things. And yeah, so I like that. I like the progression with Angel. I thought that was good, because we learned about the Drusilla story, and he did tell Buffy about it, and just how he was talking more to Willow. I just thought that was really cute. I really liked that scene. Do
you think, I have a question for you on that. Do you think, he only told her because Buffy saw and confronted him. Do you think that he would have otherwise?
It seems like, no. I would hope that he would have at some point. Maybe he just wasn't ready yet. Yeah, I don't know. I hope he would have, because how are they going to have a relationship if you can't disclose things like that? That's a pretty big thing. And I mean, if she is going to be a good partner for him, then she needs to understand that his past doesn't reflect his future. So, yeah. I don't know. That's interesting. I'm not sure. I hope so.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Let me think that we wanted to talk about for this. I know we see this guy. I can't remember his name, the actor, but we see him later in. Is it Roswell? Is that the show he's on?
Oh,
Like pretty soon after this, he goes in Roswell.
Something else though too. I feel like.
Oh yeah, he was like a '90s act. Like he was in stuff for sure.
Like I think he was in movies and stuff too.
Oh yeah. He got around for sure.
He got around.
I love that when you like see an actor on a show in the '90s, you're like, oh my gosh,
Yes.
like remember him from this and this, that, or her from this and that and that.
Yep.
Like we will see Pedro Pascal in a Buffy episode.
Really?
Very young, almost unrecognizable Pedro
No
Pascal.
way.
Yeah, we have a while to wait, but
Okay.
he has one episode in Buffy. Yeah, so it's fun when you like spot people like that. Even what's her face? Callie from Reptile Boy. She was in like a show that I used to watch. It was called it wasn't super successful, but I was like, oh yeah, she was on that show I used to watch, that I've watched before. So you see people like they have these little tiny guest star spots, and then they their career grows. So that's nice. Okay, so next week the episode is called The Dark Age. And this is another like Buffy movie thing. A quote from the Buffy movie is repeated in this episode. Can you guess what it is?
Oh shoot! Is that my question?
Yeah.
Oh no! Oh. Uh-oh. It's been a while. Shoot.
I mean, but you know this movie better than I do. To be honest.
I've seen it so many times, but it's been a hot minute since I've seen it.
Apparently, it's what her watcher says.
Oh, then I'm
Merrick.
gonna get it.
I think it's Merrick, right?
Yep.
Yeah. It's repeated in this episode, like quoted.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. We'll just throw that one.
I don't know.
It's hard. It's a hard one.
All right.
But next week we get all the like deets on Giles.
No.
We get so much like tea being spilled on these characters. Angel this week, Giles next week.
Good. I want to learn more about Giles.
Get a lot of Jenny,
Ooh,
which is
okay, good,
great.
finally.
Always good. Yeah. Oh my,
Okay.
Jenny. She's taking charge. Is all I gotta say.
Okay.
He
good.
wants something, and she's gonna grab it by its tweed. Like she is gonna, nothing's gonna stop her. Yeah, it's good. I watched it yesterday.
Oh, okay. Nice.
I was like, it's been a long time since I watched this episode, so I was like, I'll start watching it before I do my notes and everything. Okay. Yeah, so it's has a lot of high points. So that wraps up season 2, episode 7, Lie to Me. Again, you can find us on all major podcast apps and YouTube and Instagram at One Girl in All the World Pod. And please don't forget to leave us a review on wherever you listen to the podcast. You can also email us at onegirlpod@gmail.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back next week with season 2, episode 8, The Dark Age. Slay real soon.
Bye.